Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 2020 Alumni Honors event. I wish we could celebrate this year's awardee at a wonderful banquet in Westminster Hall. However, these are extraordinary times, and during these times, it is more important than ever that we celebrate those who make our community great. We must innovate and find ways to maintain our important traditions and our community, even when we can't be together in person. For me, tonight's celebration is extra special. As we pause to honor the work of some of our outstanding alumni, it is also a moment to reflect on the strength of our Maryland Carey Law community. During this difficult year, I have seen examples of that strength and commitment time and again, as alumni have extended themselves, whether through donations to our Student Emergency Fund or by helping recruit this year's stellar 1L class. Thank you. Now is when we need each of you most, and I'm proud to be among you as we weather this pandemic together. Tonight's awardees were selected by the Alumni Board from nominations that came in from across the state and the nation. Each nomination uncovers a powerful story of professional accomplishments, leadership, and service. This year's honorees are exceptional members of our community and the legal profession, and it is my great honor to pay tribute to them tonight. Our first award, the Rising Star Award, recognizes a graduate of the last decade whose exemplary contributions of service and leadership, either professionally or at Maryland Carey Law, have brought credit to the graduate and this institution. I am pleased to announce that this year's recipient of the Rising Star Award is Michelle McLeod from the class of 2010. Her important work litigating complex civil rights cases in the U.S. Department of Justice exemplifies how early career lawyers can begin making a difference in the world. Please join me as we watch a brief video about Michelle McLeod.
The 2020 Rising Star Award is presented to Michelle McLeod, class of 2010. Michelle received her bachelor's degree in journalism, magna cum laude, from East Carolina University. At ECU, Michelle was the first Black editor-in-chief of the university's independent student newspaper, the East Carolinian. After graduating, Michelle worked as a residential counselor in a home for at-risk youth in Phoenix, Arizona, and worked as the playroom coordinator at the Ronald McDonald House in New York City. At Maryland Carey Law, Michelle was an Honorable John F. Fader Leadership Scholar and Writing Center Fellow. She was a teaching and research assistant for Professor Sherilyn Eiffel, who now heads the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. She was a volunteer mentor at Villa Maria Children's Home in Timonium, Maryland, and she also completed an externship and spent a semester providing direct legal services at a refugee rights clinic in Cape Town, South Africa. Upon graduating, Michelle joined the U.S. Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division through the Attorney General's Honors Program. For nearly 10 years, Michelle has litigated complex civil rights cases in the division's voting section and housing and civil enforcement section.
She has traveled throughout the country, investigating and litigating violations of the Voting Rights Act, the National Voter Registration Act, the Help America Vote Act, the Fair Housing Act, the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act, and the Service Members Civil Relief Act.
Michelle has been awarded 2 Civil Rights Division Distinguished Service Awards for exceptional work on litigation, a Department of Justice Certificate of Commendation for outstanding performance in the Civil Rights Division, and several Department of Justice Special Achievement Awards. Michelle is also an active volunteer in her community. She is a council member of the ABA's Civil Rights and Social Justice section, a member of the ABA Commission on the 19th Amendment, and a member for the ABA Commission on Youth at Risk. In 2017, Michelle was awarded the ABA Top 40 Young Lawyers Award. She has also served as a member of the DC Citizen Review Panel for Child Abuse and Neglect, was a commissioner on the DC Commission on Human Rights, and was a youth mentor through DC's Capital Partners for Education. The University of Maryland Francis King Carey School of Law is proud to name Michelle McLeod the recipient of the 2020 Rising Star Award.
I feel so fortunate to be here with you all this evening, even if it is only remotely. First, it is a privilege to receive an award from the Alumni Association at Maryland Carey Law School, an institution that operates in the service of others and that has contributed so much to the city of Baltimore, my hometown, and the state of Maryland. I went to law school so that I could be in the service of others, and Maryland Carey Law certainly helped me reach my goal. Second, I am honored to be nominated for this award by Professor Paula Monopoly and Professor Kathleen Hoke. I was lucky enough to have 2 classes with Professor Monopoly. She is everything you would want in a professor. Brilliant, organized, clear, accessible. I could go on and on. I think so highly of her, and I'm honored that she nominated me for this award. I met Professor Hoke on a visit to the law school before I enrolled, and I remember thinking that if she was a reflection of the law school, then this is where I wanted to get my legal education. Professor Hoke is brilliant, kind, giving, and hilarious, and my law school experience would not have been the same without her. She was a fantastic mentor, and I am happy that I now get to call her my friend. Finally, I feel so lucky to be a civil rights lawyer, and any success I've had in my career is because of the attorneys I work with in the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice. They are brilliant and dedicated public servants, and I'm honored to serve with them. Thank you again for this award. I am so appreciative.
Congratulations to Michelle McLeod. Our next award is the Benjamin L. Cardin Public Service Award, named for Ben Cardin, class of 1967, who has served in the U.S. Senate since 2007. This award honors a graduate who has demonstrated significant and substantial contributions to furthering ideals of public service in the law. Public service is a hallmark of a Maryland Carey Law legal education, with our top-ranked clinical law program and Cardin requirement, which ensure that our students have ample opportunities to get hands-on experience serving clients with access to justice deficits. It is my pleasure to announce that this year's Benjamin L. Cardin Public Service Award recipient is MEGHAN Marsh, class of 1996, who has dedicated her career to advocating for persons with disabilities in Maryland. Please join me as we watch a brief video about MEGHAN Marsh.
The 2020 Benjamin L. Cardin Public Service Award is presented to MEGHAN Marsh, class of 1996. MEGHAN's entire career has been dedicated to public service on behalf of Maryland's most vulnerable populations. MEGHAN earned a bachelor's degree in social work from Pennsylvania State University in 1991, focusing on child psychiatric conditions, and a JD from University of Maryland Francis King Carey School of Law in 1996. In her 1L summer at Maryland Carey Law, MEGHAN was awarded a summer stipend from Maryland Public Interest Law Project to work at Maryland Disability Law Center, later renamed Disability Rights Maryland. After her summer placement, MEGHAN returned to work part-time during law school and full-time after graduation. She also performed work with Advocates for Children and Youth through the law school's clinic program, later working as a teaching assistant for clinic students, and worked as a live-in counselor for a program serving adults with developmental disabilities. MEGHAN's work at Disability Rights Maryland has spanned being an intake specialist, staff attorney, communications manager, and director of operations. She has represented children and adults to ensure equal rights and protection while in foster care, schools, psychiatric facilities, and hospitals. More recently, she has represented adult Social Security beneficiaries who have employment barriers or need reasonable accommodations or criminal record expungements. She currently supervises DRM's intake team and 2 DRM projects funded by the Social Security Administration to protect the rights of Social Security beneficiaries with disabilities. In 2007, she was promoted to the Disability Rights Maryland's leadership team as communications manager, and then to her current role of director of operations in July 2012. In 2017, during Disability Rights Maryland's search for a new executive director, MEGHAN served as interim executive director, working with the board of directors to ensure consistent operations and fundraising efforts. From 2009 to 2016, MEGHAN was also an adjunct professor at then University of Maryland University College, teaching classes in business administration and management. The University of Maryland Francis King Carey School of Law is proud to name Megan Marsh the recipient of the 2020 Benjamin L. Cardin Public Service Award.
How lucky are we to have a law school so fully supportive of public interest work in a community like Baltimore, so rich with nonprofit organizations? During law school orientation, I had the privilege of meeting Senator Cardin at a reception where he spoke about public service. To now receive an award named for him for public service is profoundly humbling, and I'm extraordinarily grateful. During my 1L summer, I received a public interest law student grant to work at what is now Disability Rights Maryland, and I've been there ever since. I encourage you to continue supporting such student groups that create opportunities for students to discover public service. I enrolled in the clinical law program in the early 90s, fulfilling the relatively new Cardin requirement, and worked with children in foster care. That experience simply cannot be replaced and will never leave me. So please continue to support the amazing clinical law programs here at Maryland. They can have lifelong impact on students. And finally, please continue to support local nonprofit agencies and legal service organizations. We need pro bono volunteers, and we need flexible funding while responding to existing and emerging crises affecting human rights. But together, as a community of students, faculty, and alumni, we can rise to the occasion, show our deeply rooted dedication to public service, honor Senator Cardin's vision, and enrich our community. Thank you to Senator Cardin for his unwavering and lifelong dedication to promoting public service. Thank you to the Alumni Board for this recognition, and I look forward to many more years of serving our communities together. Thank you.
Congratulations to Megan Marsh. Now will we move on to the Mary Ellen Barbera 84 Judicial Excellence Award, named for our distinguished graduate and the Honorable Mary Ellen Barbera, who serves as Chief Judge of Maryland's highest court. The Judicial Excellence Award honors a Maryland Carey Law graduate and member of the judiciary who embodies the qualities of integrity, impartiality, and civility in the orderly administration of justice. The judge demonstrates strong legal ability and leadership and is someone who contributes to advancing the legal profession through volunteer work and professional development, such as committee work, legal instruction, and mentorship. Maryland Carey Law has a vibrant relationship with the Maryland judiciary. We are gratified that so many Maryland judges were educated here and proud to place around 30% of our recent graduates in coveted clerkship positions. This year's Judicial Excellence Award goes to the Honorable Clayton Greene, Jr., class of 1976. During his illustrious career, Judge Greene not only served on all 4 levels of the Maryland judiciary, but he has been a dedicated teacher, speaker, coach, and mentor. Please join me as we watch a brief video about Judge Greene.
The University of Maryland Francis King Carey School of Law is proud to name the Honorable Clayton Greene, Jr., the recipient of the 2020 Mary Ellen Barbera Judicial Excellence Award. Born and reared in a rural, predominantly African-American community known as Freetown, located in Glen Burnie, Maryland, Judge Greene excelled in his educational endeavors, beginning in a 2-room schoolhouse where he attended elementary school. He would later go on to attend the University of Maryland, College Park, where he got his first glimpse into the legal profession when he studied constitutional history and law as a student of Dr. Mary Berry, who became a major influence for him as he pursued a career in law. As a student at Maryland Carey Law, Judge Greene was enrolled full-time as a day student and worked part-time as a law clerk for the Anne Arundel County Office of the Public Defender. After graduating in 1976, Judge Greene worked as a public defender, a lawyer in private practice, and was an assistant county solicitor for Anne Arundel County. In 1988, Governor William Donald Schaefer appointed Judge Greene to the District Court, where he led the Anne Arundel County District Court as the administrative judge. In 1995, Governor Paris Glendening appointed Judge Greene to the Circuit Court, and in 2002 to the Court of Special Appeals. During Judge Greene's tenure on the Circuit Court for Anne Arundel County, he led the 5th Judicial Circuit as administrative judge. In 2004, Governor Robert Ehrlich appointed Judge Greene to the Maryland Court of Appeals. He remained on Maryland's highest court until his retirement as senior judge in 2019. Judge Greene has the distinction of having served at all 4 levels of the Maryland judiciary. In addition, he was the first African American appointed as a judge to the District and Circuit Court for Anne Arundel County. He received various governor's citations, the Morris H. Blum Humanitarian Award, the Distinguished Citizenship Award by the Mayor and City of Annapolis, and chaired the Harry Cole Judicial Council for more than 7 years. Judge Greene has been recognized by the National Bar Association, the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, the Maryland Senate, the Maryland House of Delegates, and the Maryland Legislative Black Caucus. In his retirement, Judge Greene remains active in public service and the legal community. He enjoys spending time with his wife, Janice, and circling the globe together. He also enjoys spending quality time with his sons, Clayton III and Jonathan, and their families, especially his 4 grandchildren, McKenna, Parker, Kaya, and Jordan. The University of Maryland Francis King Carey School of Law is proud to name the Honorable Clayton Greene Jr., the recipient of the 2020 Mary Ellen Barbera Judicial Excellence Award.
Hello, everyone, and thanks to the University of Maryland School of Law for recognizing my judicial service. Congratulations to all the 2020 Alumni Award winners. Your hard work and achievements have not gone unnoticed. Thank you to all who have contributed to make this event a success, especially the Alumni Board, Elva Tillman and Natalie Amato, who nominated me for this award, and to Dean Tobin and Andrew Altsler for their continued commitment to the law school and its outreach. I stand here today in the community of Freetown, located between Mountain and Solly Roads in Anne Arundel County, Glen Burnie, Maryland. At my side is my father, Clayton Greene Sr., who is 94 years young and has stood by me and guided me since my birth. Together, we are near the front steps of what used to be Freetown Elementary School. This building was the 2-room schoolhouse that I attended and the same schoolhouse that my father attended before me. When I was a student here, my dad was a custodian. In the evenings, I worked right alongside my father and mother and learned how to clean and polish floors the right way. Right here is where I began my journey from janitor to judge. Between the house I grew up, which is about 300 yards away, the schoolhouse, and the church I attended 3 miles away, I learned the power and the importance of family and community, determination and discipline, education and hard work, faith and luck, patience and passion, and preparation and opportunity. I therefore accept the Mary Ellen Barbera Judicial Excellence Award, and I dedicate it to those who have touched my life in so many positive ways, namely my parents and family, teachers, community leaders, friends, colleagues, and law clerks. I continue to stand on the shoulders of so many individuals, named and unnamed, who have worked to make sure that I was worthy to receive this award. Thank you for your service.
Congratulations to the Honorable Clayton Greene Jr. Now it's time to announce this year's recipient of the Distinguished Graduate Award. This award honors a Maryland Carey Law graduate who has achieved prominence through professional excellence and service to the community. Please join me in congratulating NATALIE MCSHERRY, class of 1974, recipient of the 2020 Distinguished Graduate Award. At Maryland Carey Law, it is our mission to educate generations of legal leaders who practice and serve with distinction. NATALIE MCSHERRY is one of those leaders. Recognized as one of Maryland's preeminent trial attorneys, she is also a dedicated leader in providing and expanding pro bono legal services to low-income Marylanders. Please join me as we watch a brief video about NATALIE MCSHERRY.
The 2020 Distinguished Graduate Award is presented to Natalie McSherry, class of 1974. A fourth-generation alumna of Maryland Carey Law, Natalie graduated in 1974 with a class that has been referred to by one of its other members, Judge Lynn Battaglia, as the tipping point for women in the law in Maryland. Natalie would go on to then Whiteford, Taylor, Preston, Trimble, and Johnston, where she was the first woman partner of the firm. Natalie has served as chair of the Maryland State Bar Young Lawyers Section, as a bar examiner, as a member of the trial court's Judicial Nominating Commission, and Senator Mac Mathias's Judicial Nominating Committee. From 1985 to 1995, Natalie took a 10-year sabbatical and raised 3 children, during which time her family, thanks to the United States Marine Corps, moved 7 times, ending up for the final 3 years in Fiji. She returned to Whiteford, Taylor, and Preston in 1995, and in 2005 was inducted into the American College of Trial Lawyers. In 2008, Natalie joined KRAMON and Graham, PA, where she is now principal, and recognized as one of Maryland's preeminent trial attorneys. She has more than 40 years of experience in commercial litigation, healthcare law, and alternative dispute resolution. She has handled all aspects of professional credentialing and is frequently called upon to advise healthcare institutions and providers concerning a variety of legal issues and challenges that arise in the healthcare industry. Her long-standing appointment to the State Advisory Council on Administrative Hearings and her position on the Maryland State Bar Association's Committee on Judicial Appointments reflect the high esteem in which she is held by members of the legal community. A dedicated civic leader, Natalie contributes countless hours in pro bono legal services to underprivileged populations. Natalie is chair of the Board of Directors of the Maryland Legal Services Corporation and was recently chosen as president-elect for the Maryland State Bar Association. For her professionalism and commitment to public service, Natalie has received numerous awards, including the Maryland Volunteer Legal Services Winnie Borden Pro Bono Leadership Award, the Maryland Legal Services Corporation Arthur W. Machen Award, and the Daily Records Leadership in Law Lifetime Achievement Award and Icon Honor. Natalie continues to inspire the next generation of legal professionals as an energetic mentor to early career lawyers, both at KRAMON and Graham, and as an adjunct professor at Maryland Carey Law. The University of Maryland Francis King Carey School of Law is proud to name Natalie McSherry the recipient of the 2020 Distinguished Graduate Award.
Thank you very much. Others have said, when receiving an award such as this, how humbled and honored they are to receive it. But that truly is the case for me on this occasion. I'm humbled when I look at the earlier recipients and honored to be included in such company. I'm especially pleased to note that included in those predecessors are 3 classmates from the class of 1974. What we gained at the School of Law back in the day was a sense of pride in our work, camaraderie with our fellow professionals in the law, and in the very early days of the now fabled clinical program, some actual experience in a courtroom. We were challenged by our professors. I'll never forget the moment studying with Paige Marvel for our exam in corporate tax, and yes, I did take corporate tax, when we worked through a hypothetical involving some arcane portion of the tax code and realized we didn't know the answer. We went in a panic to Professor Keller and laid out the problem. He smiled and reassured us that no one else had figured it out either. Some of my fondest memories include the endless bridge game we maintained in the then locker room canteen with its formica tables and metal lockers and tile floor. There was always someone who would take your hand for you while you took a break from the game to go to class. And some of my most terrifying moments were in the juvenile law clinic, even appearing before the infamous Judge Hammerman in jeans, t-shirt, and pigtails, having just been summoned from the law school because one of my clients had unexpectedly been detained. What those 3 years taught me, though, was far more than substantive legal principles, though they surely taught me that. I made friends and formed lifelong relationships with my colleagues that continue to this day. Perhaps most of all, I gained an increased appreciation for the needs of the unrepresented that persists as well to this day. We have seen that need even more vividly since the civil unrest after Freddie Gray's death and it's been heightened by recent events this year, with an increased awareness of systemic racism and the legal challenges of the pandemic. We are fortunate in Maryland to have civic leaders such as Attorney General Frosh and Governor Hogan, who recently made grants of $11.7 million to help defray funding at Maryland Legal Services. But we have much more to do to meet the needs of those who require civil legal assistance but cannot afford it, and to address inequities in our legal system. My hope is that the Maryland Carey School of Law will continue to inspire current and future lawyers to meet that need in whatever way they can. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to NATALIE MCSHERRY. Finally, it's my great honor to announce that this year we will bestow the Lifetime Achievement Award. This is only the second time we have chosen a recipient for this award, and it is given by the Alumni Board at the Dean's discretion. The Lifetime Achievement Award goes posthumously to the Honorable Elijah E. Cummings, class of 1976, a famed civil rights leader, a tireless public servant, and a cherished member of the Maryland law community. Congressman Cummings passed away last year while in his 13th term representing Maryland's 7th District in the U.S. House of Representatives. Throughout his career, Congressman Cummings never forgot where he came from. Just as he stayed rooted to his beloved Baltimore, he remained closely connected with his alma mater as a longstanding member of our Board of Visitors and a highly engaged mentor for our students and graduates. Elijah challenged us all to use our JDs to help others, and his legacy lights our way as we strive to build a more just and equitable world. Please join me in thanking Elijah's widow, Maya Rockymore Cummings, for accepting the Lifetime Achievement Award on his behalf.
I'd like to thank the University of Maryland Francis King Carey School of Law for honoring my late husband, Congressman Elijah E. Cummings, with a Lifetime Achievement Award posthumously. Elijah was very proud of the fact that he attended the University of Maryland Carey School of Law and that he graduated and passed the bar on the very first time. And certainly he often talked about how as a young person, his father used to urge him and his brothers and sisters to take advantage of our state schools because they were taxpayers and they were supporting these schools, and he felt very strongly that his children should benefit from these schools. Certainly Thurgood Marshall felt the same way, yet wasn't afforded the same privilege to attend that Elijah was. But Elijah was determined that he was going to use his opportunity to go to the University of Maryland Carey School of Law and then to launch his legal career, to be and to make a difference for other people. And that's exactly what he did. Elijah's career is long and storied, is filled with ups and downs, but it's certainly filled with his passion to make a difference in the lives of people. As a young man growing up in a segregated Baltimore, Elijah knew what it was like to be poor. He knew what it was like to be outcast. He knew what it was like to have to attend separate and unequal schools. He deeply felt the pain and the shame of being marginalized in this society. And he was determined, like his heroine when he was 11 years old, Juanita Jackson Mitchell, who led him and other young African-American children on an integration march to integrate the Riverside Pool in South Baltimore. He saw how the law could make a difference by challenging the system and using the tools of the law, that you could change the quality of life for people everywhere. And so he followed that path, and it led him to great heights. And certainly he is to be remembered, certainly for his passion to make a difference, but also for his passion to ensure that we protect and defend our democracy. And so with that, the Carey School of Law Lifetime Achievement Award is a great honor. We'd like to thank you for bestowing this upon Congressman Elijah Cummings, and thank you for everything that you did as a law school to pour into him and to shape him into the professional that he became. Everyone have a good night.
Our last video gives us an opportunity to appreciate the Honorable Elijah E. Cummings, who indeed lived a life of great achievement. Let's watch.
When did I meet Congressman Cummings? It was my 1L year and his 3L year here at the law school.
Elijah and I met the first day of law school in 1973.
August of 1973, hot and humid day in Baltimore. It was our first day of law school.
We were late. We were both taking the bus. Our buses were late. There were 2 seats left, adjoining seats left, and we took those seats, and that's when we met. And that started a friendship that lasted like more than 4 decades.
Boy, when did I meet Congressman Cummings? I certainly met him before we served together in Congress.
I first met Elijah Cummings in the spring of 1969. He was a student at the high school that I had graduated from.
Well, I first met Congressman Cummings when I was working on Capitol Hill for Senator Paul Sarbanes.
He was one of a handful of African-American 3L students who many of us met early on in the semester and got to know fairly quickly as really one of the leaders at the school.
Elijah and I met in 1998 on Capitol Hill. I came to Washington in 1997 to collect data for my dissertation, and he was one of the first members of Congress to grant me an interview. And, I took note of his very liberal positions on the issue, his work that he was doing in the community. And I ended up labeling him in my dissertation a transformational leader. And so one day he asked me out. And that started a great friendship, which blossomed into a romance that then blossomed into a marriage.
He's really a funny person. I want to make that known. You see so many pictures of him, and he looks very stately and so forth, which he was. But Elijah loved to laugh, and he had a hearty laugh. He would start laughing, and he couldn't finish his sentence. It would take like 3 minutes to get it out because he's just bawling over with laughter. So he was a funny guy. He was a good-natured person to be around.
One of the things that stood out for me and many of us was his always seeming seriousness of purpose, which is not to say he didn't laugh easily. He did laugh easily.
Growing up in Baltimore for Elijah was an adventure. He was a newspaper deliverer. He sold the Afro-American newspaper. He always had a job, even as a very young boy. He had a lot of pain in his childhood. He grew up in segregated Baltimore. He knew what it was like to actually attend schools that were separate and unequal.
He would often say that his teachers didn't treat him as fairly or didn't recognize his abilities or recognize his particular way of learning. That could have stifled some people forever, but it didn't with Elijah because he deep down had a desire to be somebody that he knew he already was. He knew he had greatness in him, but he wanted that opportunity to be able to let it expound.
Elijah was an overcomer. He found out that he had something called rights, and he wanted to make sure that he preserved his rights, but he also preserved and protected other people's rights too.
He fought for justice. He fought for equality, but he also tried to inspire other people to fight for justice and to fight for equality.
I think that more than anything else, he cared about the next generation. And I think it's because he saw in every young person, he saw himself.
What he said to young people is he said, look, it's not a question of whether there are going to be some significant obstacles in your life. They're going to be. But what you need to know is overcoming those obstacles is what tempers your character. And it's what gives you a unique ability to contribute to the public good.
And he said this often, our children are the living messages we will send to a future we will never see. And so he put his heart and soul into young people.
He spent a lot of time thinking about young people, talking to young people, focused on young people, because he understood full well that unless we paid a lot of attention to our future, the work we did in the present would be for naught.
One of his gifts was a real deep commitment to giving back to his community and wanting the strengths in his community to be as vibrant as they could be. And so one of those places was the law school.
He first never ended his connection with the law school. We saw him back here for alumni events. He was a member of the law school's board of visitors. He even held congressional hearings here in the law school.
He would say to people, don't let anyone hold you back. Don't limit your dreams and your aspirations. If you put your mind to it, if you dedicate yourself to a goal, you can reach it.
Elijah would say, be fierce, be unafraid, and take risks to succeed. You will fail, he would say. You will fail from time to time. But failure is an opportunity to get up, try again, and proceed to succeed.
He was an absolutely fantastic listener. He could, listen to what your problems were, but most importantly, he would work his butt off to actually address the challenge. So people got a sense that he cared, and he absolutely did care.
Talking to him over the years, I also had this sense that Congressman Cummings was sort of amazed and humbled at his own trajectory. In other words, he would step out, he would look at what he'd achieved in his life, the heights to which he had risen, leading a powerful committee in Congress, and I think was truly humbled by that.
He has been impactful, his career, his work, his dedication to this institution, the law school, his dedication to the people of Baltimore, and frankly, his dedication, as we saw in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years of his life, to the country as a whole, is immeasurable.
We have this amazing country and fabulous judicial system. We have a set of riches that few countries can boast, and Congressman Cummings wanted that opportunity. He wanted those riches to be used to help ensure that all people in our society got an equal chance.
He restored our faith in the country, and he gave us hope.
He touched so many people in so many different ways.
He could relate so well to the everyday man. Thurgood Marshall had a quote that said, "I did the best I could with what I had." And I think Elijah exemplifies that quote.
She talked about when we are dancing with the angels, the question will be, what did you do in 2019 or 20 or whatever year to preserve our democracy? So this sense that we all have an obligation to account for our time on earth. And he lived that, but he also spoke that.